She got the coffee, she got the donuts, and
All right, we're live.
we're I need somebody to take this while
We're
Linda,
live.
Captain, somebody take this because all the stuff that's going on right now.
Yep.
We're 5 minutes late, and Gabe, I'm gonna bring you on.
Okay, yep. Good thing you will.
Bring you on. But I want to Wadia. See, Wadia. So is somebody videoing? All right. On the move.
On the move.
We're here because on December 9th, 1981, our brother, Mumia Abu Jamal, was beaten, stomped, kicked, head rammed into a pole, split wide open. He was kidnapped off the street and charged with killing a police officer. 39 years with Abu Jamal is innocent. This year, like all years, but none like any other, evidence has exploded. We have here my sister Janet and Janine Africa. And 2020, all our family is home. All our family is home. And they're on the street doing what they were doing on the inside. On the inside, raising revolution, making people aware of what's going on here. I have a special surprise for everybody right here. The love of Mumia's life. The sister that's been by him through thick and thin, 39 years. Sister Wadia Jamal, the wife of Mumia Abu Jamal. Wadia.
Wow. On the move, everybody. Can y'all hear me? On the move, everybody. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, on the move. I'm so glad to see everybody out here looking beautiful, bright, and healthy, and trying to help me, or help me, help them, help me. Yeah, I'm helping them get Mumia out of jail. He's been in there for 39 years for a crime he never committed. His only crime was that he survived a vicious ass whipping, shot in his chest, and a whole bunch of prison time. 39 years. And I'm asking everybody who gives a darn to come out and visit with us, talk with us, get information from us. Mumia has been, he almost died in prison. He's sick right now.
That's right. Tell him
He's sick right now. They have him segregated from other inmates right now because they have that quarantine up in Manahoy prison. And December is not a good month for me. I've had some harsh things happen. And all we need is just y'all just please get our backs. Stay with us. Hang with us. Get Mumia home when he should be. He should have never been in prison at all, just like the rest of my family, the family Africa. James Ramp was shot by friendly fire. Daniel Faulkner was shot by friendly fire. And All right, and I wanted to take a minute to say that Maureen Faulkner is a fraud. She's a liar.
That's right.
And she's a snake.
Proven.
Yes, absolutely proven. She has been married to a man for over too many years, to another man, but she's still using the name Faulkner. Her name is Maureen Pokovich. But she's working with the Fraternal Order of Police, and she's getting paid for it. All right. Thank y'all. Goldie, should I say something? All right. I'd like to also say to keep your light and energy and prayers for our daughter, Goldie, who passed away on December 17th. That's another reason why December is not a good month for me. You know, our family has struggled and scampered, and she has two beautiful baby girls out here that needs Mumia, their papa, out here to help us raise them right. And they're strong and loving. So please, the more the merrier. Nothing is too small. Nothing you do would be too small. Just help. All right now. Thank you, and on the move.
Thank you for coming out. Host, you'll see my sister Linda coming up each time somebody leaves the mic, because we're really doing social distancing. That's why we're outside. And believe me, it's cold out here, but we're on a mission. It don't feel cold to you? Okay. We want to send a salute out to Goldie. And Goldie is Wadia and Mumia's daughter. She was right out here on the front line, and she was a singer, an activist, a poet, but she's a hell of a mother. And so we don't want to ever forget Goldie, the daughter of Wadia and Mumia Abu Jamal. I'm gonna turn it over, and I'll be walking around live, and to Brother Gabe. Brother Gabe. Oh, and I want you to notice this. The power of truth is final. Mumia Abu Jamal Way, and free Mumia now. The campaign to bring Mumia home. I just want to send a shout out to Johanna and the campaign to bring Mumia home. Susan Ross up in New York. We want to send a shout out to the Labor Party in California, the mobilization to bring Mumia home in Mexico, and of the Mumia Libre in Germany and France, the collective and Julia Wright, the daughter of Richard Wright. I got a statement from her we're going to be reading a little bit later on. But Brother Gabe, because you had to snatch this thing from me.
Perfect. On the move. On the move. On the move. Free Mumia. Free them all. So we want to get right to it. We have a lot of speakers today, but we want to get right to the work, because it's been a phenomenal year of activity as we work to not only free Mumia Abu Jamal, but free all political prisoners. This book right here in my hand is an important part of today's activity. It is a book that Mumia has put his work in, his brilliance in, and his life in, called Murder Incorporated, Empire, Genocide, Manifest Destiny, Perfecting Tyranny. This is book 3 of a series that Mumia has been working on along with Stephen Vittoria. And as we know on the flyer and all of our promotions, this book is very important to the story and narrative of who we are right now and this current struggle for resistance and rebellion, not only in Philadelphia, but around the world. And so with that being said, we want to bring up somebody who can share a lot more information about this book, book 3, our comrade from Prison Radio, Noel Hammerhand.
All right, Noel. So thank you for coming out. My name is Noel Hammerhand. I'm the director of Prison Radio. We produce radio commentaries by prisoners, and we've been doing it now for 30 years. We've been working with Mumia Abu-Jamal since 1992. And I just want to say that everyone in Philadelphia and now nationally knows that an apology is not enough.
No.
That what has happened to our community and our colleagues, our correspondents, what's endemic in the justice system in Philadelphia is a tragedy. Larry Krasner announced in June that he was going to do a truth, justice, and reconciliation process. That process has to happen. Our people inside prisons who are there because of the misconduct of prosecutorial misconduct, police officer misconduct, judicial misconduct, they have to come home. So we have to bring every single one of them home. When I started this project, interviewing Mumia by radio, it was enough to get his voice out. It was enough to make sure that people could still hear him and see him and believe in him as a person and who wasn't going to be silenced and locked away by the state. That his voice was going to join us. Well, now it's not enough that we have the books and radio and the voice. It's not enough. We need to bring Mumia Abu-Jamal home. I'm saying this now and not talking about the book, but I'll get to the book in a minute, because half or more, all of the people inside our correctional institutions, all 47,000 people need to come home. No other country does it like this. It's criminogenic. It creates crime. It destroys communities. Our people are worth bringing home now. So every governor, Wolf, Wetzel, Krasner, and the people who are the logjam right now are the common pleas court judges. They have got to go. They cannot stand on their legacy of brutalizing our people. So Mumia Abu-Jamal, how does he do it? It's amazing. Mumia always spoke for the people. When he was out here as a journalist, working for WHYY, then WUHY, working for URD. One time I wrote to him and I asked him to list all the radio stations and newspapers he wrote for. He wrote me back like a 3-page list of every single newspaper you guys could possibly imagine. He was a gadfly reporter. And when he went to prison, he never stopped. Mumia has been reporting from inside, telling the story of his people for these many years. This is his 13th book, 420 pages. It is in the tradition of Vincent Harding, There's a River, of Eduardo Galeano's Open Veins of Latin America, of Howard Zinn's People's History of the United States. This is told from the inside. There is no one paying this man to not tell the truth. He is telling the truth and exposing. When you're a reporter out here, as you all know, many of you who are here filming this today know this, you are always given a choice. Tell the truth or tell what your bosses want to hear. We have to stand outside and tell the truth just as hard as Mumia Abu-Jamal does standing inside. I can't tell you how many jobs I've lost because I demanded that my station cover the stories from the perspective of the people, from the perspective of the people at the other end of the baton. That's the kind of reporting that Mumia Abu-Jamal does. And that's why he's been censored. That's why Bob Dole got up on the United States Senate floor and said, how dare NPR use his voice on the radio? Because it would make a person on death row who is innocent, demonstrably so, sound like a human being that everyone could relate to. Because Mumia Abu-Jamal is fluent in French, he's fluent in German, he's conversational in Spanish, he's getting his PhD at the University of Santa Cruz, he's gotten his master's at Dominguez Hills, and this is his 13th book. So I want to challenge you to read this book and understand where it's coming from, because our future depends on it. We have to now understand that we cannot forget what has happened. And what I started off with was, an apology is not enough.
I could probably just sit right here. All right. So now keep moving. We're gonna move along. Our next speaker actually is a good brother of ours and Mumia supporter. He is the executive director of the Abolitionist Law Center, and is going to talk about why we need to not only free Mumia Abu-Jamal, but also free Russell Maroon Schultz and all prisoners were locked down in these prisons due to COVID-19 here in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. Robert Salim Holbrook.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out here. My name is Salim Holbrook. I'm the executive director of the Abolitionist Law Center. If there's one thing that Mumia's case shows, is that not only is Mumia Abu-Jamal not guilty, the system that put him on trial, the system that framed him, the system that keeps him in prison is guilty. The Fraternal Order of Police, the city of Philadelphia, and their allies in government and the media would have people believe that the case against Mumia Abu-Jamal is an open and a shut matter, demonstrating that his guilt is beyond any reasonable doubt. This evidence does not stand up to examination. Instead, it proves that the police coerced witnesses to lie, fabricated a confession, and mishandled, neglected, and withheld crime scene evidence. Mumia Abu-Jamal was framed and denied a fair trial. His freedom was taken from him. What is abundantly clear is that the Philadelphia Police Department, the District Attorney's Office, under the authority of then DA Ed Rendell, racist Judge Sabo, the state and federal appeals courts, and the United States Supreme Court have been involved in a flagrant conspiracy to frame and continue the imprisonment of Mumia Abu-Jamal. The evidence that was used to convict Mumia does not stand up under any scrutiny. At the most, Mumia Abu-Jamal must be freed, but at the least, he should be given a new trial. And with this evidence under scrutiny, it is beyond doubt that Mumia Abu-Jamal would be acquitted of these charges, of these false charges. If he was tried by a jury of his peers today, if he was tried by his community today, if he was tried in a courtroom in Philadelphia today, Mumia Abu-Jamal would be acquitted. This evidence consisted of the prosecution using unreliable witnesses, a false confession, police mishandling of evidence from start to finish, and to this day, ballistic evidence that contradicted the prosecution's theory, judicial bias, a judge saying that he was going to, in his words, help them fry that nigger. That was the judge that tried him. Just on that statement alone, Mumia Abu-Jamal should have been acquitted and he should be free. But that tells you what type of a system that we live in. That tells you what type of system of justice that we have when it's on record that the judge said this and it is acceptable. Flawed PCRA hearings where the evidence that Mumia, new evidence that exonerated Mumia was not allowed in because of procedural bars. Perjured testimony, ineffective assistance to counsel, and most importantly, a system of corruption in the Philadelphia Police Department and the District Attorney's Office that was described as a criminal enterprise by the United States Department of Justice. This is what is keeping Mumia Abu-Jamal in prison. This case is not about evidence. This case was about framing a man who was defending and reporting on that corruption in the city of Philadelphia. And we demand his freedom unconditionally. The court of his community demands his freedom. Mumia Abu-Jamal is in his 60s right now. There is a COVID epidemic raging within the Department of Corrections. Over 29 prisoners have died from COVID since October 15th. Mumia is a member of vulnerable populations based on his age and his medical condition. Russell Maroon Schultz, another political prisoner who has been in prison for 50 years, is battling stage 4 cancer and recently contracted COVID-19, is also in danger of dying in prison. We are demanding their release right now. The fact that they are still in prison today, 40 years and 50 years respectively, is unacceptable during a global pandemic that has showed that not only do we live in a failed state, in a racist state, but we live in a state that continues to devalue Black lives and continues to crush Black resistance. We need to free Mumia Abu-Jamal. We need to free Russell Maroon Schultz. We need to free Muhammad Burton and all political prisoners in Pennsylvania right now unconditionally. Governor Wolf has that ability to use with his reprieve powers, and we are demanding that he do this. We are demanding that he do this not just based on the fact that Mumia Abu-Jamal, the evidence shows that he is not guilty, but because it is what justice demands. We want our political prisoners free. Free them all. Thank you.
Free them all, free them all. We're gonna bring them home, right? We're gonna bring them home, right? So next up, we have an organizer with the Workers' War Party, because many of you saw last month in October, I guess now 2 months ago, that our dear brother Colin Kaepernick made a statement in support of not only abolition, not only for political prisoners, but Colin Kaepernick made a statement with regards to supporting the freedom and release of Mumia Abu-Jamal. That's major for the movement. And so to illustrate that and why it's important for our struggle right now, we want to bring up again from Workers' War Party, our dear family, Ted Kelly.
Thanks, Gabe. Let's hear for Linda, too, who's been keeping us safe. My name is Ted Kelly. I'm with Workers' World Party, the Prisoner Solidarity Committee of Workers' World Party. And I'm here to say free Mumia. It's hard to underestimate the impact and the importance of Colin Kaepernick joining the struggle to free Mumia Abu-Jamal. And I want to just read a quick statement from Monica Moorhead, one of my dear comrades in Workers' World Party. She's a presidential candidate in 2016, and she wrote a pamphlet called Why Kaepernick Was Right. And he was right. So this is from Monica Moorhead. When I was a teenager, the movement was electrified by the actions of Tommy Smith and John Carlos, who used their platform to defiantly show solidarity with the movement for Black liberation. Colin Kaepernick has proven himself a modern-day Carlos and Smith, in a very different period for an entirely new generation. He has joined in the tradition of these athletes. Colin Kaepernick provided a platform and a symbol of resistance after the police murder of Anton Sterling and Philando Castile that resonated through professional, amateur, and school athletics. Solidarity with Cap, Black Lives Matter. Colin Kaepernick lost his livelihood and put his life on the line to show solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. He took a huge risk by doing what he did in a platform that you can't really get bigger than the NFL. And this is after taking the 49ers to the Super Bowl. And he did this in what is objectively a very conservative period, where even the statement that Black Lives Matter is met with jeers and protest. And Kaepernick took his knee during the national anthem to show that this country does not value Black lives. And it was impossible to ignore that protest. I think it's also really important to mention that for our generation, he stepped up. And there was really so few people of his prominence, of our generation, who are using their platform, and the floodgates are open now. I mean, the movement has just exploded in these years since the initial Black Lives Matter uprising. The important thing also is that his support for Mumia ties our struggle now to the struggle of previous generations, to the Black Panthers, to the MOVE organization, the organizers and revolutionaries who laid the groundwork for everything we're doing today. And Nat Turner, and Harriet Tubman, and every revolutionary going back centuries, fighting against the white supremacist, capitalist, imperialist system that we live under right now. We have to free Mumia because he and Russell Maroon Shoatz and all the other political prisoners who are still incarcerated, free Imam Jamil Al-Amin. We need to free all these people, and especially because there is now a new generation of political prisoners from the current struggle. And that's why I want to also read a brief statement from my comrade Deandra Jefferson about an organizer here in Philadelphia who has been under attack by the state, who was kidnapped by federal forces just 2 months ago. We at the Free Ant Formation are excited about the release of Mumia Abu-Jamal's new book, Murder Incorporated, Volume 3, Perfecting Tyranny. Mumia's astute analysis of the world, and specifically the American project, are illuminating. Mumia helps us to be clear. American exceptionalism does not exist. Freedom and liberty are used as vague concepts to disguise a system which does not value everyone, and that punishes those who simply name that hypocrisy. Through our fight to secure Ant's release on bail and our subsequent fight to exonerate him, that has never been more clear. We are also clear that the strength we have is in community. Through the strength of the community, we were able to bring Ant home. Over the years, the community has also been responsible for getting Mumia off death row. The more we come together to fight against the repression we face for our honesty, the easier our fight becomes. We must not stop until we free all of our folks in the belly of the beast. So I just want to say, free Ant, free Mumia Abu-Jamal, and free them all.
Announcement, we got food giveaway, but they got to bring their bags.
Okay.
We got kales,
Just a quick announcement also is that we have food to my right, your left. It's going to be part of our food giveaway as well. But next up, many of you all saw last night on HBO Max the film 40 Years a Prisoner. Right? 40 Years a Prisoner, phenomenal film about the story of the Move 9. And so we're blessed, obviously, of course, to see that work over decades to free those folks from that confrontation of August 8th, 1978. And so today, to talk about their response to the city are two members who were released and freed in 2019 after 41 years of imprisonment. Give it up, y'all, for Janet Africa and Janine Africa, y'all.
Dave is so tall. Yeah, and Janet is way down there. So
All right, now on the move, everybody. Long live John Africa. You know, as Gabe said, we spent 41 years in prison for a crime we did not commit. And this city knew that we didn't commit. We were in jail because we were committed to John Africa, to revolution. And despite what this city tried to do, John Africa, my Move family, and all the people in the movement got us released from prison. And we're going to do the same thing for Mumia and for all political prisoners. What we want to talk about today is we found out that the city issued a formal apology for the bombing, 1985 bombing of our family. First of all, we want to make it clear that the city didn't issue no apology to the MOVE organization. We have not talked to anybody from City Hall, from the City Council. They issued a public relations statement to the media.
That's
all right?
That's right.
But despite that, MOVE is saying to everybody, apology with no action behind it is meaningless.
That's right.
If they feel like an apology is going to rectify what they did to our family in 1985, we're saying, show us a symbol of the sincerity by releasing Mumia Abu Jamal. That's all we want. You know, at one time, somebody had printed that we wanted the city to take the parole off of us because we got 3,200 years and we got 60 years of parole on us. But we want to make it clear, we're not saying that. We're home. Thanks to John Africa and everybody, we're home. Mumia is in prison. We don't care about that parole. What we care about is getting Mumia out of that jail cell where they are trying to kill him. And that's all that matters to us. We don't want to hear anything else because that apology is not going to bring back my son. That apology is not going to bring back Janet's daughter, none of our kids, and our sisters and brothers, and all our animals that they bombed to death in 1985. So we don't want to hear that. But Mumia is still alive and can be alive. We want him out of there. You know, Mumia is in prison, was shot down because Mumia was the only journalist at that time that printed the truth, the unbiased truth about MOVE, John Africa, and the assault on our belief by the city of Philadelphia. Mumia is the only journalist that reported an unbiased report about the trial of the system versus John Africa. Mumia is the only journalist that would read excerpts from the MOVE 9 trial on his radio program, that read excerpts from John Africa's federal trial, and Mumia is the only one that would not give in to the coercion from his bosses. Mumia was threatened several times to stop printing and reporting unbiased reports about the MOVE 9 trial, and he refused to do it. And he lost his job on the Tribune. He lost his job at NPR. He was driving a taxi cab because rather than make money and have that status, all he wanted to do was put that truth out there. And the day that the MOVE 9 was sentenced to 30 to 100 years, the judge was on a national radio program, and Mumia called into that program. And he didn't say his name, he didn't have to. That voice is unmistakable. And he pushed that judge to say who shot James Ramp. And the judge said to come out in the minute and said, I don't know who shot James Rand. And Mumia said, you don't know, but you just sent 9 people to prison for 30 to 100 years. Not a week later, we got a phone call when we called home, and they said Mumia was almost shot to death in the hospital and charged with the murder of a police officer. We know what happened. It was right after he called into that radio program. And this is why the MOVE organization is fighting so hard for Mumia. And that's all we're concerned with, because he put his career on the line, his life on the line, to put out the truth about MOVE, John Africa. And we're saying he is our brother, and we're going to fight with everything we got to get him out of there and save his life like he tried to save MOVE. On the move, no.
On the move, yeah, I just wanted to give y'all a little more history of MOVE and Mumia. We love Mumia. We love Mumia. That's our brother. When we were in prison, Mumia came up to visit us. Not just once, twice, but very regular, he came up to visit us. Mumia loved MOVE, and he loved John Africa. During John Africa's federal trial, where the system had John Africa on trial, and you know how the feds are, they always get their man. John Africa walked out of that federal courtroom a free man, and Mumia covered that. Mumia was impressed, encouraged, and just motivated by John Africa's example. When Mumia went to court, he asked the courts for John Africa to represent him, because he saw how John Africa represented himself against all those odds, and there was plenty of odds, over killing a cop, 10 cops. That was the charges against John Africa, but he walked out of there free. So Mumia asked the courts for John Africa to represent him. Do you know they denied Mumia that? Because they were afraid if John Africa represented himself and walked out of that court free, that it was a possibility, a strong possibility, that Mumia would be walking out that prison too. They didn't want that. So they kept Mumia. They still got Mumia in jail because they want to keep him down. But we're saying if Mumia thought for 1 minute that his life would not have been complete with John Africa representing him, he wouldn't have did it. We all know how smart Mumia is. We know what risk he takes and what risk he don't take. He asked for his life to be represented by John Africa. That is the belief that MOVE believe in. That is what we asked for when we went to prison. But we went 41 years in jail to show people what John Africa did for us. Represented our belief, truly, strongly committed to this revolution. And we're not going to stop. We need people to keep fighting. Y'all fought for us. Look at all the years that it took, 41 years, but you never stopped. And I know after a while, it gets like a burden of me, all these years and just don't see nothing happening, but things have happened. Things are happening. We're home. Yes. Long live John Africa. Long live the people. Mumia is coming home too, but we can't stop. Can't give in. Because a lot of people stop and say, this is just nothing's happening. But you can't give in to the adversary. You can never give in to him. I don't care how things may seem, how they may appear like nothing's happening. That's not true. And I'm here to represent that. MOVE is here to represent that. The example that I give people a lot of times is that example about that termite that's coming through a piece of wood. When it's on the other side and coming through that wood, you can't see that termite as it's coming through. But when it breaks through, there's a hole and you're coming right through it. And that's what's happening now. We can't stop. We can't give up. We have to keep on fighting. Now we got more things on top of just the freedom of Mumia. We got this coronavirus. You know, we got so many things that's trying to stand in the way of Mumia. We got that King's Court that's trying to stop everything. There's no movement. There's no movement with Mumia. You know, like if you have a object, a subject where you can bring up and bring it up, they stop that. But we can't let them stop that and get away with it. We got to keep pushing. We got to keep on, because otherwise they will kill us. They are going to raise hell on us no matter what. This system is wrong. It's rotten from the core. You've got to do something about it. You can't just give into it, because they are going to stomp you down. whether you say something or you don't. So you might as well say something. You might as well do something. And that's what Move intends to do for Mumia for the rest of our lives too. We lost our brother Delbert. We lost our sister Merle. We lost our brother Phil, Jean's husband, in prison. And they were fighters of this revolution, y'all. We fought. We lost our children. My daughter was in that house. We lost 11 of our brothers and sisters in that house. We lost our animals. We don't want that to be in vain. You know, like the brother was saying, we're standing on the shoulders of people that were brutalized, raped, murdered, separated from their children, just divided, that don't even know who their relatives are. But we're standing on them shoulders, that people that fought hard, they never gave up. And look where we are now. We've got to keep fighting, y'all. Don't give up, because it's not just Move. It's not just Mumia. It's not, it is this whole system that's stepping on everybody's neck. That's pressing everybody down. And we have got to recognize that and realize that you've got to fight. You've got to take your freedom, because they're not going to give it to you. You know, you've got to understand that. And in order to get that, you've got to give up. You got to give up the handcuffs that this system put on the brain. You know, and they put them handcuffs on our brain since we were children. But now that reconditioning is coming off, because people are seeing what's happening. They're being exposed. Look at the government. Have you seen anybody more criminal than them? But they walk around free, murder, rape, steal, and do everything. They walk around free in suits, and people respect them. But look at John Africa. Look at Move. Look at the Move organization, the people that fight for this revolution. They want to look down on us. But we fighting for what's right, and we will not stop. We want when we are home. We want when we are home now. We want people to keep on fighting. Don't give up, because when you fight for Move, when you fight for Mumia, you fight for yourself. Long live John Africa. Long live John Africa. Free them all. Free them all. On the move.
I got it.
Powerful, wasn't that? Wasn't that powerful?
Yeah.
It's always good to hear from Janet and Janine Africa for their continued work. And as they showcase that even though they was down for 41 years, they are still in the fight, still in the movement, and still in this ongoing struggle towards the liberation, y'all. Is that right? Next up, when it comes to Mumia Abu Jamal, we want to thank the press who are here today, because there are certain press that are independent, that support this movement and allow us to tell our own narrative. And there are other media entities that continue the lies and the deception against Mumia Abu Jamal that we're working to disrupt. So with that being said, we want to bring up a co-organizer with the Black Alliance for Peace, as well as Black Lives Matter Philadelphia chapter, but also ongoing work with just community work as an activist in the city of Philadelphia, homegrown, native. Give it up for Yane Indigo.
Power to the people. I am born and raised here in so-called Philadelphia, Lenape-Hoking. Not native. Just want to honor the Lenape by saying that I am born and raised, but not native to this land. So not long after our good brother Kaepernick spoke and called for the release of our beloved brother Mumia, there was a commentary made to refute that call by Smear Konish, who wrote the book on, as he says, wrote the book on this, and actually, you know, received probably all of his notoriety through this, through the effort to undermine this, the movement for justice for Mumia Abu Jamal. And, you know, he went up there, you know, I was thinking about it when I was listening to Janet talk about unbiased reporting, and also to the ways that that kind of reporting, when reporting the truth and speaking the truth brings consequences. And CNN gave room and space for this man to smear the truth without giving any room and space for our community to tell the truth. And we are calling on CNN to actually try for once to be objective and unbiased and allow the people to hear the whole story so that they can discern and have access to the actual truth. Even if these people were convinced about that Mumia is not innocent, there's no way that they could believe at this point in time that Mumia received a fair trial. That's right. If you really, really don't believe that this man is innocent, if you do not believe in his innocence, you should actually want the actual trial to happen without any of the prosecutorial misconduct, without the police misconduct, with all of those things that sully that trial to be removed so that people would be able to settle this situation with the truth. Why would you stand in the way of an actual fair and just trial for anyone? For anyone, unless what you actually fear is the truth. What we need, what we require, what we demand, ultimately, obviously, is the release of our innocent brother Mumia Abu Jamal. Yes. And we also demand at least below that, which we don't need a trial at this point, because there's enough reason without another trial to release Mumia. You've got the reason based on COVID conditions and his age and his health. You've got the reason based on judiciary, prosecutorial misconduct that has caused other individuals to be able to be released with no trial. And you also, and so another trial at least though is required. There's no problem. Yes. At the least, we should have another trial, as Brother Salim said. Yes. But what we are saying to CNN is your job is to provide unbiased reporting and to give room and space to smear carnage, to smear the truth, and give no room to immunity to tell the actual truth. Is wrong as it relates to the idea of journalism, and it spits in the face of true journalists like our good brother Mumia Abu Jamal.
Speak on it, Yanni. That's right.
So when you do this, when you put a person, when you allow this man smear carnage to give this lack of true information to people who don't know the whole story, what you can do is inspire people to actually go out and attack the truth teller, yes, to attack the advocate, which is what Kaepernick is. That's right. A truth teller and an advocate. You can cause this individual to be in more harm, to be in danger as a result of giving room and space for an individual to tell lies, yes, and not give room for people to tell the truth. Yes. So CNN. Go ahead, Yanni. CNN, we are saying to you to take this opportunity to give to provide some real objective journalism and give room and space for the entire story to be told so that the people can be exposed to the truth that Mumia Abu Jamal is a man who has been innocent and who was framed and who needs to come home now. Thank you.
Yes. We gotta move this in here. Yeah. a Dios. Thank you.
All right. We almost over, y'all, but we want to do this. We in December, so we're going to get a little cold, but we all right? We're still on fire. It might be a little windy, but we still on fire. Is that right? So, with that being said, we're thankful for everybody that came out to speak today. We want to open up to the family here, to the community. We have many activists and organizers right here on this corner. So we do want to open it up for a couple folks who do want to share, who may want to open up and share a couple comments about why it's important right now to free Mumia Abu-Jamal. So we do want to open it up right now. If there is anybody, you can come right here to the microphone and we'll get you set up right now. So if there is anybody that want to share, we will bring you up. All right, let's go right to it. We're going to get started here. We're going to get started with somebody who is very special for us, somebody who's a long-time supporter, activist, radio show host, a little bit of everything in Philadelphia. He does it and has done it. He is Jeff Hart, y'all.
Thank you, brother Gabe. And I want to applaud for brother Gabe, please. I seen brother Gabe grow from a youngster to a middle-aged man now. He got the lead. We knew we put it in good hands, and brother Gabe took it over. I just want to let everybody know I'm still in support. When I got back in Philadelphia and went on WHAT, I did everything in my power to reach out to Pam Africa. Pam spent many a night on the radio with me, along with Consuela, Ramona, and my heart still is heavy about what took place in this city, not only in 1978, but in 1985 and 1981. And we are going to free Mumia Abu-Jamal. But we've been hollering and screaming, and I just want to give out some special to Brother Kamal. There's Brother Kamal, who's always here, sets up mics, does everything. Brother Kamal, I want to give a shout out to Brother Razakan. Brother Razakan is always on the move, and since he married Sister Pam, she has been everywhere, on time, everything. And then I want to, of course, give a shout out to Sister Pam, because if it wasn't for Sister Pam, this might have gone away. But Sister Pam wouldn't let it go, and as she has always told me, John Africa told me to do it, and I'm going to continue to do it. Janine, Janet, we're glad to see you sisters home, and we're going to get the rest of the political prisoners home as soon as possible. On the move!
Yes, sir. Powerful stuff.